Hey everyone, thank you for being here with me today. So if you're new to this channel and you were just like, what was that? My name is Tumi and I am a dancer and a medical doctor with a focus on holistic health. And a big part of the reason I created this channel was so that I could offer a blend of holistic health tips, my holistic health tips and experience, as well as dance to hopefully uplift, inspire, and empower you on your own unique, beautiful journey. So welcome. This video I'm super excited about is going to be about my medical school and medical training experience because I've gotten a lot of questions around that. This is a time of the year. I'm making this video in December. It's a few more days until the end of the year. And I think it's a powerful time, the end of the year. We're in Malaysia right now, in Kuala Lumpur, and wherever you are in the world, I just invite you to really take some time during this time of the year to think about what you want to release and let go of, and really start imagining and envisioning your new year. What is your vision for the new year? I think talking about medical school and my experience and hopefully giving some tips about how to not just survive, but thrive through your medical school journey or grad school journey or college journey is a great thing to do at the end of the year because you can start creating a new slate for yourself in the coming year. So to do this video, the way I'm going to do it is just answer some questions, and I want to thank the lovely people who sent me questions around this topic. There are two people specifically whose questions I'll be answering, and so I have my trusty phone here and I'm just going to look at it. The first person, thank you to Ilona. I'm going to just read her questions and then just answer them, and in the answers I will interweave my personal journey a little bit and try to keep the video not too long. So I hope you enjoy it. If you're new to this channel, or if you're not, and you enjoy the content, please don't forget to subscribe by clicking the red button box below, and also click the notifications bell next to it to get alerts about when I am posting. And let's start. So Lona says a lot of lovely things, and then she says, how did you manage to stay on top of all the studying without compromising your health? That's a fantastic question. I want to start off by saying that I went to medical school almost 20 years ago, and I'm definitely not in the same place now as I was back then, emotionally, mentally, in terms of my self-care journey. I was doing a lot of good things. I look back with a lot of things that I hadn't yet found out for myself. I hadn't yet found a diet that was most supportive for my health. I hadn't yet crafted a really great self-care routine. So the first thing I'm going to say to this is self-care, self-care, self-care. Craft for yourself a self-care practice that really is amazing for you feeling rested, feeling centered, and feeling energized to be able to take on the load, the workload, the mental capacity that medical school demands of you. I have a book coming out. I mentioned that in a previous video, and it should be coming out in the next couple of months, and I will let you know very soon when it does. There are 7 chapters which reflect 7 aspects of health that I think are vital to really mastering, and I give you the roadmap of how to do so. And that comes a lot from my experience in surviving and thriving throughout medical school and my medical experience, and then my work as a doctor. So what I say to you is think about the aspects of health for yourself that you really could improve on to help you feel your best while you are really putting in a lot of time and study through medical school. The 3 that come up to mind immediately are diet, eating a diet. I've said it over and over in my videos. I'll say it again. A plant foods, antioxidant rich whole foods diet does amazingly for your body and for your mental capacity. So eating lots of fruits and vegetables, if you eat cooked food, whole grains and whole root vegetables that feel good for your body. This is medicine. It's absolutely medicine for your mind and your body. And so I can't overemphasize a good diet enough. I did not have a good diet in medical school, and I can only imagine how much easier it would have been for me in medical school had I been eating a nourishing diet. So diet, also moving your body when you can in a way that feels joyful and supportive for your peace, for your fitness. That helps weigh a lot with mental clarity. Sleep as much as you can get it. Rest is underdone and so needed in medical school. When I was doing my medical residency, I was working over 90 hours on average a week. So I was getting very little sleep, but when I could, I would, and sleep is also really vital. There are many more aspects. I could do a whole hour video on this, but self-care, self-care, self-care. Tips on studying and concentration, she also asks. Same thing, self-care, 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 because if you're not sleeping enough, if your diet is not optimal for you, if you're not moving and so getting good circulation to your body and to your brain through exercise, your study and concentration will not be the best. But I want to say something else about study and concentration apart from these self-care practices, and that is find the learning style that works best for you. This is something that came to me during medical school and I improved over the years, which is that I realized I'm very much of a visual learner and an auditory learner. Some people are really great just reading, and they'll read. I had a friend who could just read and he would memorize things immediately doing that. I'm somebody who I love pictures, images, and I love sound. And when I figured this out, I started recording a lot of my notes. I would say my notes, I would speak out my notes, record them, and listen back. I learned this a little later on, and it was incredible. So that's just an example, but find the learning style that works well for you. And if you're not sure, you can Google things like Find My Learning Style or different learning techniques and really figure out what works best for you and use that. We're not all meant to be the same type of learners. And I think the education system in many places, including the States, has a certain kind of learning technique or teaching style that may not be suited best for everyone. So find the one that works best for you and use that in your school, no matter what kind of school it is. I hope that's helpful for you. Okay, another question. How did you deal with teachers wanting to apply the procedures they taught you without any space for your intuition? Or did you actually manage to sneak in some unconventional approaches? So I think this is in referral to when you go to a school that has a very traditional approach. And I went to an incredible medical school, one of the top medical schools in the country, and it had a very traditional approach. It was great, but it was a very traditional approach to learning medicine. And at the time, and I still look back and I'm very thankful for that education. But I definitely supplemented that education. And I did that during medical school. I did so after medical school. And I spoke about that in the last Q&A, which I will leave a link to in the description down below about how I did that a little bit. And also at the end of this video, there'll be a link to that video. So how did I make space for my intuition? Because whether or not people want you to make space for your intuition, you can always do that. You have the power to always choose your intuition. So I always did, because our intuition is one of the greatest gifts we can give, whether or not people are comfortable with it. It really is. And one of the things I will say about medical school is that it's so vital, I believe, to really know why you're doing it in the first place. What is your purpose? Why are you doing medical school? Why do you want to become a doctor? My why may be different from your why. And I will share very personally that when I was a little girl in Ibadan, Nigeria, growing up, I write about this in my book. I'll just give you a brief snippet of this, that I would spend many days lying on the grass, letting my imagination run wild. And usually my fantasies were either about dancing, or they were about actually gathering people who I would see who look sick, tired, not healthy, and think about giving them these herbal poultices and making baths for them, medicinal bath, where they could have these concoctions that I created and feel so much better afterwards. So the dream of being a healer of being a dancer, of being a healer, were in my imagination as a young girl. Go back to your why for being a doctor. And I say that because that stood me in good stead when I was in medical school, and you have people telling you this is the way it has to be, and maybe a part of you says, but I feel like it could be different. To have the strength to listen to that has to come from your purpose. So defining your purpose. Practically, I can tell you the way it looked like in terms of following my intuition is that I would do it in very small ways. Being able to speak to patients, when you share your personal story, when you hold their hand as they're talking to you, when you look in their eyes, when you share breathing technique, you're able to give them these gifts apart from just the prescriptions they may be getting from your attending or from the doctor who's in charge. So there are little ways that you can definitely bring in your intuition and your non-traditional approach to a traditional education. That being said, I want to say something really clearly. A traditional education might not be the best fit for you. So go back to your purpose. What is it you want to accomplish? What is your end vision of how you are as a doctor or as a healer? And then see, is a traditional school what I want? And if not, there are many non-traditional schools out there. They're naturopathic programs, they're functional medicine programs, they are holistic nursing programs, they're nutritional programs. There's so many types of healing programs, more and more every year. So first determine what it is you want, what your vision is, and then find a good fit for you. Personally, I'm so thankful that I did a traditional medicine approach because I wanted to be able to work in traditional settings and bring in a non-traditional approach. But to work in traditional settings, at that time anyway, I needed that traditional degree. And it's really great for me to have had the training in that because I was able to know my anatomy, my physiology, my biochemistry, my pharmacology inside and out. And then when I speak to people and I want to wean them off medications or pharmaceutical medications, I know what I'm speaking about because I know the pharmacology of these medications. I know how they affect the physiology of the body. I know how they interact with each other. I know their half-lives. I know their formulaic names and their brand names. And then I can talk about herbs. And then I can talk about a lifestyle approach. And that's the way I love to work, but it may not be the way you love to work. So go back to your purpose, go back to your vision. She has amazing questions, and I just want to go through some of the rest of them. She says, did you manage to dance regularly, or did you have to skip a lot because of school? Great question. I don't think I would have survived medical school without dancing regularly. I danced very regularly. I joined a dance troupe during medical school. That was a very important outlet for me. I would create dances for my medical school class when we had performances or galas. We had so dance was really vital for me, and I encourage you, it goes back to self-care, do those things that turn you on, that make you feel alive. Continue them and really carve a place for them. Even in residency, when I was working 90 plus hours a week, the months that I was able to have a little bit of a break, I would get in my dance. I would go to the dance, I would go to Dance Space or DNA, it's called now, or Give Me Dance, I think it's called now, in New York City, and I would go to dance class as often as I could. This is an important question. How did you manage financial wise? Were your parents supporting you a lot? Is it possible to find some well-paid job in this field even though you don't have a degree yet? So I have an interesting story. I don't want to go too long into it because it could be a whole other video, but it goes back to even before medical school. When I was in high school, I did very well in high school. I worked a lot. I worked very hard in high school, and I got into my top choice Ivy League school for college. And that's where I wanted to go. At the time, my parents were two teachers. They were college professors, and there are three of us, three girls, three children in our family. And at the time, my parents just did not have the funds to send me to this Ivy League school that I really wanted to go to. So I chose instead to take the route of going to an amazing university college called Rice University that offered me a full tuition scholarship. So I did that. And then for medical school, I also got a scholarship to go to the medical school that I went to, which was Vanderbilt University Medical School. I supplemented the scholarship with working during my first 2 years of medical school. I could not work my third and fourth year of medical school because I was doing clinic duties, and so I was in the hospital a lot. My first and second years, I actually worked as a babysitter and worked in a nursery. So that's what I did financial wise. And I will say to you that it was really helpful for me to come out of medical school basically without debt. So many of my friends who are physicians had a lot of debt when they left medical school. So I feel really blessed because of that. Is it possible for you to find a well-paying job even if you don't have a degree? I believe you can find a well-paying job without a degree, and there, especially in this era of online work, I think the possibilities are incredible and endless. And doing so, I think, also in a way that feels good and feels aligned with your soul's intentions and with integrity. How difficult was it to maintain relationships outside of medical school? I think you have to prioritize it. I had friends, wonderful friends in medical school that were really helpful, and I really encourage whatever schooling you have to create a group of people, to create a community that's supportive, mutually supportive. But I definitely didn't spend a huge amount of time socializing. That's just the reality of medical school for me. It was for me, and definitely the case for me in residency. Although again, in residency, one of my best friends still to date was my roommate in my residency time. And so we had off hours where we would spend time with each other. So you can definitely foster some of the most meaningful relationships actually in medical school and beyond. So Ilona finishes off by saying that it would be awesome to talk more about my yoga instructor journey, the path to my holistic practice, the Doctors Without Borders experience, and of course dancing. And I appreciate all of that. I think those questions I just answered are probably enough for this video, and I will make future videos maybe on those extra topics. I want to also answer a couple of questions from Fully Love. I think it's Fully Love Bay. Thank you for sending your questions. And she says, what program did you take? Which program did you take is her first question. I believe she's talking about my medical school or medical training program. So again, I did a traditional medical school through Vanderbilt University Medical School. And then I did a primary care internal medicine residency through NYU. And it was my first choice for residency. I was in love with that program when I saw it. I wanted to go to New York because I knew I wanted to do dancing as well as medicine. And I loved their program. It was at Bellevue Hospital, which is the oldest public hospital in the country. And the population that we served in that hospital was a lot of immigrants and a big homeless population, which was really important to me. I really wanted to work with the underserved and work with an international population because I knew I had been doing a lot of international volunteer work already, and I knew I wanted to continue to do international volunteer and medical work. So I loved that program, that residency program. It was hardcore in a lot of ways, but I wouldn't trade it. And it's exactly what I needed and wanted. But again, it was aligned with my vision. So I go back to know your vision, know your purpose. Her second question is, do you use holistic practices with Doctors Without Borders or traditional Western medicine? So I've worked with a lot of different volunteer medical or international organizations. One of them is Doctors Without Borders. Another one is International Medical Corps. I did work with them in Haiti and with Doctors Without Borders in West Africa. In both of those scenarios, I definitely brought in my holistic mindset. The Doctors Without Borders, in terms of the medical staff, was looking for doctors and nurses specifically at the time. I don't know if they've changed their policy. That's what they were looking for. So I was working with that traditional mindset. However, I have such respect for that organization, and I definitely brought in my holistic mindset, and they were very accommodating. So I brought in a griot to do drum work to the hospital clinic that we were working in. This was my idea, and they fully supported it, and it really helped with the children not spending as much time in the hospital, and the mothers, I think, feeling uplifted, the mothers who brought their sick babies in. I danced every day when I was there with Doctors Without Borders for my mental health before I went into the hospital. So I definitely used my holistic practices. And I just want to end by saying that whatever program you choose, bring yourself, whoever that is, whatever the thing that turns you on, bring yourself to the program, to the schooling. You are not just helping yourself, but you are actually helping your classmates, your professors, and the school by doing that. I can't overstress that enough. I want to say just a few things to wrap up and to bring things together around medical school and beyond, thriving during medical school, during any training program that you're going through. 1, self-care, self-care, self-care. Number 2, be really clear about your vision and your purpose for why you're choosing the program that you're doing. What is on the other side? What is your idea of what you're going towards? And keep that vision really in your mind's eye as you go through it, because you will go through it. And self-care as you go through it. Number 3, to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. Be yourself, bring your unique gifts, which don't come from any training program, but from within. Bring that to the program, to the school, and that's the best way I think you can not just survive, but thrive. I hope these tips and my experience and what I shared with you have been useful for you. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Share it with anybody who is going through this training. With anyone you know who's going through it, and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and stay tuned for more on this channel. And for wherever you are in the world, I'm sending you so much love.